Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, my A Spoon Coon, my homie. Hello there, Damon Williams. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well there, Sybil Wilkes. How are you?
I'm doing okay too. Doing okay. Getting ready to
Yeah.
travel. We're about to head out to go to the CIAA in Baltimore, and I know you've been on the road. You got any tips for what's happening out there these days?
Good Lord. Go early.
Not the
Yeah.
good Lord.
Good Lord. Let me tell you, if I don't have to go anywhere, luckily I don't get on another plane until Sunday. But if I didn't have to do it Sunday, I'd be okay to take the rest of 2023 off after this past weekend.
Wow.
It was just great.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a lot because I was working in Columbus at the Funny Bone. Shouts out to everybody in Columbus, Ohio, including the TJMS, Monique and Stephanie and the gang that always do the cruise. They
Hmm.
came out and they always buy tickets, and I told them I could look out, but they always buy tickets, and it'd be about 6 or 8 of them, so I appreciated them. Sold out shows in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone.
Nice.
Then
The
had six
land of
a.m.
funk.
flights, yeah, to get to Edmonton. That's when it got tricky because
That's what I was worried about when I was
yes,
reaching out to you. Yeah.
yeah, I saw that. There's no quick way to get to Edmonton from anywhere, but it's definitely no expeditious way to get there from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh,
So
wow.
I get up, 6 a.m. flight, fly to Detroit from Columbus, 30-minute flight, cool. 2 hour layover. Then after that, Detroit to Toronto, 37-minute flight. Hey, 2 hour, 50-minute layover.
The
Then from
layovers are killers.
killing me. Then Toronto to Edmonton, 4.5 hour flight, right? But we get there early. Yay! Get there in
Uh-uh.
3 hours and 58 minutes. Of course, there was a problem at the gate,
They're
and
not ready
so
for you.
yeah, well they were ready, but the plane got stuck because it's Edmonton, so the tug got stuck on some ice, so they couldn't get the tug back to the gate because it was spinning its wheels. Then the captain
They
kept
didn't have
updating us.
they didn't have any kitty litter or some rugs or
You
something to
would
tuck
think
it in.
in the frozen tundra that they would
Right.
be prepared for this. So they got it off, okay, and then the crew just disappeared. The captain said, "Look, this company that does," he said the name of the company, and then he said, and I don't know what happened, but they all just disappeared. So I guess they went on break all while we were on the runway. So a 4 hour flight and a 1 hour runway sit. And of
Oh my
course, you can't get out to
goodness.
seat, so it made the 4 to 5. But then it was cool. Went to eat, had a good time, had a great show, packed out show with my girl Corey Bell here from Chicago, and a very funny young man named Kevin Tate. Look out for him; he's hilarious. He did my Laugh Tonight series. Um, Killed the
Nice.
show. Of course, we go to eat. Now we all got 5:36 a.m. flights again. So now I do the two flights after that, get right off the plane, go straight to Zany's, and have the show for my man B. Cole, his 31st anniversary. And B. Cole is the writer, director, producer, screenwriter of everything of that movie Heaven on Seven, which we have
Hmm.
now playing on Tubi. So fast forward, it's Tuesday. Let's do it.
Oh my God. Bravo. You
Yeah. So
you you get the cape.
man, I wish I got the bag because all these were
I
labors
know.
of love. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I know a few other cats that do what I did this weekend and have a way bigger bag when they're finished. But I'm working on it because people are really starting to respond when I come to places. So thank you
It's
all for,
coming.
yeah, doing your thing. Going to New Jersey, Brunswick, East Brunswick, New Jersey this Sunday with my man Talent and his squad.
It's coming, Damon. I
Oh,
promise you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just got to
And
hold up because,
yeah, right. Yeah. And then there's that. Then
yeah, I
there's
got to be
that.
around
Yeah.
to get it cracking. So people say, "Man, you
Exactly.
don't look your age." I say, "Yeah, but this knee, this knee knows exactly how old I am." Just going down the steps, and all of a sudden, they just say, "Nope," out of nowhere. You ever had your knee just say, "Nope"? uh, Not a good feeling.
Oh, bless your heart. Oh, well,
Amen.
we're glad to have you, and I'm sorry that you had to go through so much to get here, but and to get home. But I know that it was all worth it. And as you say,
Yeah,
your time is you are right there. You are
on the cusp.
just right there. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. So, Damon, thanks for joining us. Ahmed is on vacation with his family this week on a tugboat. And so we will sally forth and hopefully he'll return to us next week. But
Yeah.
I did want to talk to you about some of the things that we have in the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter, and we would absolutely love for you to subscribe. We super serve the African American community with our stories, and that includes politics as well as COVID and health updates. We have a Black and Missing section once a week in the newsletter, LGBTQ as well as social justice, and a little known Black history fact, and HBCU buzz and information there. So there's a lot going on. One of the stories that I did in the newsletter today, we will talk about in a little bit. We have a very, very special guest, and this concerns our story number one. Two Tennessee lawmakers trying to introduce a bill to rename a street that's already been renamed to honor the late Congressman John Lewis Way in Nashville. So this is very interesting. So we will talk to Michael Lewis in just a moment. Michael
Yeah, we'll
Lewis
save that.
has been his
Because
right-hand man. And this is
it's preposterous, but
it
we'll
really is.
let him break it down for us.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. Exactly right. In our newsletter, we also, as I mentioned, we have Black history facts, but Cameron Riley has done a really good job of bringing to light some other Black history facts, and some that people think that they know, and a whole generation of young people that really may not know. I'm sorry, it's Michael Collins for John Lewis. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, Londa.
Okay.
But the Black history fact is about the Tuskegee Airmen. And just a reminder that we just had an anniversary, February 19th, 1942. The United States military activated the 100th Fighter Squadron in the 332 Fighter Group, and now known as the Tuskegee Airmen. The 100th Fighter Squadron was the second African American combat unit of the Tuskegee Airmen, and that the first was the 99th, activated March 22nd, 1941. If you've seen the movie Red Tails, that's a good start.
Yep.
If you are lucky enough to be in a community where there is still a surviving member of the Tuskegee Airmen, I can't encourage you enough to talk to them and to hear their stories, how these young men and young Black men and women, in addition, working on those planes out of Tuskegee, Alabama, and to hear their stories of sending these brilliant young Black men off to war and to be the escorts for the white pilots in World War II. Just incredible stories. We had an opportunity to see the screening of Red Tails. Tom attended it with the actors who were in it, and there have been other stories, but probably one of the most complete stories in telling the story of the Tuskegee Airmen. But like I said, if you have an opportunity to talk to one, and they got stories, so make some time, but definitely do talk to them and get their take on history, because they are they're trailblazers, and they were those that paved the way for Black pilots today in
Absolutely. Me
commercial as
being
well as in the military.
me being the son of a pilot, my father actually was in the Air Force and did fly planes. But they were the Tuskegee era of Black men, or even prior to the Vietnam War, I would say all of the wars prior to that were built different and brave, and were so they were not so much as patriots, but they were prideful in the fact that they too wanted to engage in combat. They didn't want to be subservient to the white soldiers, or digging latrines and cooking in the kitchen. And that's commendable, because in this day and age, that's exactly where I would be if I was in the military. I'm not storming Normandy when I could be peeling potatoes for America. God bless those Tuskegee Airmen and those fighters in World War I and II, because there's no damn way I'm first in the front line storming the beach for a country that won't let me drink the water fountain.
Right. And coming
Yeah,
back and being treated, no better than before you left, even after you gave your life and your talents for this country. And you were still
exactly.
treated like your ancestors were 100 years ago.
Salute those fellas.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Tom jokes about his dad coming down to Tuskegee and joining the airmen, and he said that he wiped out. But I still think that whatever is in those people to really go and to put their lives on the line to be trained, I have a great deal of respect for. And so salute to those who didn't quite make it. Papa Joyner, we loved you and appreciate all that you did. But it's more than an ocean. It really is.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, it
So,
really is. So thank you so much for that. And good job, Cameron. And also check this out, Damon. Now you remember during the COVID era, when people were during the pandemic and people were being laid off or said that they lost money because they were because of the pandemic. Here's the story of a person who applied for those PPP loans, and there was a lot of money, and we have stories about very famous people who applied for them and really should not have, in the millions of dollars, right?
yep.
Here's a sister in Mississippi. She's a former prison guard at a federal facility, has been sentenced to 3 years of probation for devising a scheme to cash in on the COVID relief loans. Tarshana Thomas of
Let's
Flora,
start
Mississippi.
there.
Tarshana
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
of Mississippi fraudulently applied for 2 loans under the COVID-19 Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, as we said. The U.S. attorney said that Thomas, who worked as a correctional officer at the Federal Correctional Complex in Yazoo City, Mississippi, that's my family's town,
Hmm.
claimed to be the sole proprietor of a dog breeding and sitting service when she applied for the money. As a result, she received $12,586, which she spent on personal, non-business related expenses. In addition to probation, Tarshana was ordered to pay $15,086 in restitution for her role in the fraud. Now we know that the Paycheck Protection Program was created to provide financial support to struggling businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of people, and there's still stories about a number of like big time athletes, who, everybody has their eyes on them, applied for this money and they got millions of dollars in the
Yep.
PPP program. But this woman, $15,000 she has to repay, and she's on probation for 3 years. So I don't know what that means for her good job as a prison guard. But Tarshana, I'm very sorry that you have to pay the price for doing wrong.
Yeah, and it's so sad because there are trillions of dollars in the U.S. economy, and lots of it is going to foreign aid for other countries. But people here that fraudulently went after, $12,000, $15,000 are
Mhm.
going to be prosecuted to the fullest. But on the same token, there's no free money. It's just, and
Yeah.
everybody was doing it. People had like cottage industries of how to fill out the PPP paperwork to get you the money. So I had people calling me saying, "Hey man, get $500, you would get 20,000." And I was like, "Nope." And I legitimately qualified for some of it because of riddles.
Mhm.
I had employees. I had a shuttered venue. I wasn't the owner of it, but I'm sure I could have manipulated that document to make it at least be legit and have expenses to show it. But I
Sure.
still didn't do it because I just didn't trust it. And I'm never going to do anything that's sort of shady if I got to sign my name on it. Now, if you
Right.
got some situations where some things have to fall off a truck and it's 80 inches and it shows the game, I might help you get them off. But I'm not signing the paperwork.
Right. Right. No, no
Now,
signature there.
I had some friends in the early '90s, maybe late '80s actually, and they were doing car accident schemes, and they would just go out and stop in front of people and then and then sue, right? But they all were doing it, but it was crazy because they all get caught because they would go out and buy these big Cadillacs, right? And
Mhm.
then once they get the car, they ride a couple of months, and they'll do another accident. but the whole neighborhood, they all had the same identical dents on their cars, so it was easy to find out who was in the gang, and they all signed the paperwork, so they all got caught up with that bull. I got so many stories.
Oh
We're
my
just
God, Damon, you really do. You got a lifetime of stories. You really
man,
do.
and all these guys, they were getting all this money, but they all got caught because they were signing the paperwork. I'm like, dumb. You can't have 7 accidents in the same Coupe de Ville, dog.
Not a coupe, a deuce
Yeah,
and a quarter.
do all they had the big old 98s and the coupes,
Mhm,
and yeah, and they got away with it for a little while because back then it wasn't so computerized, so you could just change your little fake registration sticker in the window and put
mhm.
another one on. I don't mean to tell too much because people might try it now, but don't
Don't
do
try this
crimes
at
that
home.
require you to show ID. That's all I'm telling you.
So I'm in a text chain with some girlfriends from Reach and our old gig, and we got a text last night or early this morning saying she was up watching American Greed on CNBC, and it involved a pyramid scheme with this reality TV couple, and
Mm-mm-mm.
it's just like there's no such thing as a free money deal. It's just
And like,
you.
especially if you just keep doing it. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. If you hit a lick, this is America. We built on crime, but you
Mhm.
can't stay in the crime. You need to parlay that into something legit, a la a Subway sandwich shop or something like that, so that you can go to jail. You got to find a way to wash that money and stay out of trouble.
You've heard this. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
allegedly.
So let me tell you about this story about persistence and belief in one's innocence. Coy
But,
Malone gave us this story and about a man who was wrongly imprisoned for 21 years for a crime that was never
mhm.
committed. His name is Ralph Blaine Smith. He's 49 years old, wrongfully imprisoned for 21 years, and now receiving a $1.3 million settlement from the state of Ohio. Doesn't seem like enough to me, but he was sentenced to 67 years in prison in the year 2000 after being accused of an armed robbery in Lancaster, Ohio. Prosecutors claim he and another Black man broke into a family home occupied by 2 adults and their children. The man and woman told police the intruders ordered them to open a basement safe that contained valuable items, and the men ended up stealing rare comic books, jewelry, and about $10,000 in cash. No evidence linked this Black man to this crime. The man and woman identified him from a series of photos, right? And so Mr. Smith was convicted of aggravated burglary, aggravated robbery, and kidnapping, along with a firearms specification. And he maintained his innocence, finally got through to a lawyer in 2020. He'd been in prison for 20 years by this time, told the details. And the lawyer said, when I read about the case and started looking into it, really believed that the crime did not happen in this case. And so they filed for a new trial, argued that the first attorney didn't do their due diligence. And so he was sentenced to 67 years, according to the lawyer, for a crime that was not even committed by anyone.
Yeah, not only did he not do it, nobody did.
No
No
one.
one could. And there was evidence. I read a part of that story where they were saying when it took place, it had snowed outside and there were no footprints in the
No
snow.
footprints. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know somebody that got arrested because they left footprints in the snow. Once again, same squad of guys around my neighborhood. He had stolen a space heater out of this someplace and in the snow, and he walked right back to his house. So they just followed his tracks. They said when they got there, he had his feet kicked up with the space heater. He got caught up for that. But this story is not funny. It's terrible. First of all, the people who did this, the perpetrators of false crime or reporting false crime, should have much more severe penalty. In
Right.
fact, they should have to
Right.
do at least as much time as he did. First of all, that's what I would enact. Second of all, that man went to jail when he was about 27, 28, till he was 48, 49. So they have
Mhm.
robbed him of all his good sexual years.
Mhm.
Like he,
Or as Don would say, his prime years. Don
oh, don't even get me started on that one. Don't even get me started on that. Don said women were past their prime after their 40s. which would pretty much say he's past his prime. But anyway, yeah, I said it.
Yeah,
If that theory applies to Don, that applies to you too. But yeah, man, to take away a person's 20 to 40, man, that's just so. And then, like you said, this money amount doesn't seem like a lot. Like he should get $1
right.
million a year,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
just a million point. Because once they're gonna tax it, and then he's gonna spend it, and the lawyer might even get some of it. So that's
And the
all
lawyer's
bogus.
definitely probably going to get some. I don't
Yeah.
know. I
I
don't
don't
know
know if
for
it's like a
sure.
civil lawyer who they get a third. Um,
Right.
this guy might have been working pro bono for the situation, but it's all bad, and it happens in so many stories like that. My son is working with the bird torture victims
Oh
here in
yeah, John
Chicago, where
Birch.
that
Mhm.
commander was, yeah, forcing confessions out of people, and he's been doing a lot of work with that for those who have come home and try to reintegrate their lives. So it's we see it firsthand. It's bogus.
It's now time for us to move to our what's really going on. And you got to ask, what the heck is going on? Bad trouble. There is a bill before the Nashville City Council to rename a portion of Representative John Lewis Way after Donald Trump. Here to talk about it is Michael E. Collins, chairman of the board of the John and Lillian Miles Lewis Foundation. For decades, and whenever we saw the late great congressman, we also saw the great Mr. Collins as the congressman's chief of staff and floor assistant for almost 20 years. Welcome, 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 Mr. Collins. How are you? It's good to see you again.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Sybil, for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So we did the story in the newsletter, but and as we explained to people, there are two state representatives, one state senator, one state representative in Nashville. They have presented a bill before the Nashville City Council to change the name of the 2/10 of a mile of the Representative John Lewis Way to honor someone else. And this is caused a lot of uproar, and so it's simply because of the association that one has in associating the congressman with his early years as a social justice activist and civil rights activist, his years there, and the irony of his name being on the road, on the streets of the stores where he once sat at the lunch counters as sit-ins in order to desegregate or to integrate the lunch rooms, the lunch counters there in Nashville, Tennessee. And it breaks my heart. I can't imagine what this does for other people, but you give us your take on this as a man who was closest to the congressman for many years.
Sure. Again, Sybil, thank you. It's only been a couple years since the city council, the town, and really the state of Nashville saw fit to name this highway after the congressman because of his legacy, because of the work he did in Nashville, the work that he brought people together, and he changed our nation. They changed our nation. And
Right.
so when the city council saw fit to name this John R. Lewis Parkway, they did it with intentionality, and purpose and meaning. And for these two city council persons to want to turn that around, I can only I can only think of the congressman when he would say, they're trying to take us back. But this is just mean spirited. There's
Yeah.
just no reason for it. It's just mean spirited. I mean, Congressman Lewis worked in Nashville. He studied in Nashville. Many of the great civil rights leaders came through Nashville, and the
Right.
congressman wouldn't think of himself as being the only one. He represented so many, countless civil rights heroes, young people, old people, people not so young, as he would say. And that's what this is. This was a testament to his legacy and the legacy of the civil rights movement. So again, it was just mean spirited and unnecessary, for these two individuals to want to reverse that.
And
Can I jump in and
of
ask
course.
what is their rationale or their reasoning? Are they even giving a reason why they thought this wasn't a good idea?
I have not heard of one, but there is nothing that's rational about wanting to take the name off of the Parkway. Once that the city and the state saw fit to put it on there and to honor the congressman. So there's nothing that can justify it in my mind.
I know you can't say this, so maybe Damon and I can, but the fact is they put this bill forward in Black History Month.
Right.
To take away this 0.2 of a mile where the legislative buildings are, where they go to work. This is what their building address is Representative John Lewis Parkway, right? And to change it during Black History Month, a man who stands at the top of one who did so much in giving us good Black history and getting us in good trouble for the sake of our advancement and our betterment in our society. This smacks of something that it's beyond politics, and it smells to the high heavens.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what a great man like the congressman was, what he would say in response to this.
So this is personal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I spent 21 years as his floor assistant and chief of staff. I met the congressman when I was a freshman at Morehouse College. This is personal to me. I witnessed firsthand the congressman's legacy.
Right.
I traveled with him, when he visited Nashville, and I traveled with him around the country, around the world, just getting in good trouble and making a difference. And, again, there's no reason to tear down. The congressman only lifted up. He inspired people. He allowed people to be the best that they could be.
Yes.
And can we tell the people what they want to change their 0.2 of the road to?
Yeah.
They want to name it after the former president, Donald Trump.
Wow. I mean, I knew that. I just wanted to put that out there. I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother, but that's when it really becomes super ironic and mean-spirited and bogus. And I could say it, but we're gonna keep decorum because you dress nice. But I was ready.
I got my good clothes on, my Sunday.
Yeah, right.
The congressman would be proud of you, sir.
Yes, I'm ready to say some mean things, but we're gonna keep it 100 since you got your pen on your lapel and such.
Try to represent.
Yes, sir.
It's important. It wouldn't matter. It does feel, a much more of a sting, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who name is replacing. It was fitting and appropriate that the congressman's name be placed there, and that the fact that the community came together to honor his legacy. Again, he was all about bringing people together. That's all. Right. This was just an honor. It's just a small but meaningful purpose, and there's no reason to take it down.
And I'm sure all of the Washington and Jefferson streets remain in Nashville.
Right, of course. Right.
Absolutely. So is there anything that you've heard of in terms of any action on this by the City Council of Nashville?
I believe there's a petition that's being circulated. Again, we've got to, do what the congressman did best: energize, mobilize, get people out to really uncover what this is all about, and have them, stand up and tell the people why they want to take his name off of this important place, this important.
And more importantly, we need to get the people to tell them that they don't want that to happen. So
exactly.
Right.
These people do have to face an election at some point.
Right.
I think it's the irony also is that not only are we talking about the role that the congressman played and that Nashville played in his life, and he played in the progression of Nashville. It's also, if I'm not mistaken, the Capitol there in Nashville is on Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they have done anything to change that, but certainly to do this during Black History Month, and just down the road, Tyree Nichols we know what happened to this young Black man. All of the things kind of working for bad trouble. And nothing happens on accident. And the fact that it happened this way just makes me angrier. But to take this anger and channel it in a more positive way, which I think the congressman would want us to do.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we can find this, and we'll put it out there. The how people can link to the petition and sign the petition. I know there have been protests against this in Nashville, and I hope that the good people on the city council will do the right thing. Let's see. No, Dora Levette Tiggs on Facebook.
Right.
Our people will burn down the whole street. That's not what the congressman wants.
Not at all.
What he wanted, and that's not what he stood for. And he stood tall. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Not to burn the community down and to burn down the street. That's not what we're talking about.
If toilet paper were cheaper, they could TP those those city councilmen's house, but. We definitely not throwing eggs at nobody's house these days. We
want a peaceful protest. Peaceful protest. That's where the congressman came to study civil disobedience and nonviolence with Reverend Jim Lawson and Bernard Lafayette. And so, we're definitely going to protest peacefully in Nashville.
Let me ask you this off a subject. Mr. Collins, is there a book in you about the congressman and your life with the congressman? Because you have a tremendous breadth of history at his side and through his eyes, but at his side, the things that he went through, not only in the Congress, but outside of the walls of the Capitol.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't wait too long, but what I will say is, it's still developing. The life, 21 years with the congressman were amazing. I mean, they were just unbelievable. And I'm still trying to understand what it was all about.
Sure.
And I want to put it into perspective. And I think I just need a little bit more time to do that.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. And it's still tender too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Today's his 83rd birthday. Would have been his 83rd birthday.
Wow.
So happy birthday, Congressman.
Happy birthday. I have a fun story about the first time I met the congressman, and I reminded him of this when I saw him one of the last times I saw him. Tom Joyner and I were, Tom was invited to the White House, and this was during the Clinton administration.
Oh, okay.
And so we went to the dinner, and I think we took a taxi. It was back in the day. People didn't have cars, and
right. And you could just drive up close.
Right, exactly. And so I remember being at a table. Right, our backs were to each other with the congressman, and so we kind of talked over the shoulder to each other because. He was just such a delightful conversationalist and very engaging, very charming, and all of this. And so we came out of the dinner and we're kind of standing there, and I Tom, I'm sure Congressman Lewis and his lovely wife, Miss Lillian. And so we kind of, and the Congress like, well, what are y'all doing? I think we're looking for a cab, Congressman, actually. And then, no, we'll give you a ride. No, we're good. And he and his wife insisted that we get in the back of their car and that they drop us off at the hotel. And they couldn't have been more engaging, more beautiful and lovely than they possibly were, because Tom, this was all new to us at the time, and they just made us feel so comfortable both at the dinner and around, and then when we were leaving, and they gave us a ride home, and that was the kind of guy
the spirit carried through all the way to the end. He did that to me all the time. He invited people to jump in the car. Michael will take you. That spirit carried on. So yeah, we were honored when he did that. He would just invite everybody to come along, give him a ride, drop you off where you want to go.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
mind you, he didn't drive.
But Michael did.
Right.
Right.
Plus, he knew the value of a ride after all of those marches.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well, this news has just come out, and I wanted to share this with you, Mr. Collins, is that this has just come out. The Democrat Jennifer McClellan has won a special election today, and she
Oh,
is the first Black woman for Virginia
yes.
in the United
Yes.
States Congress.
Yes.
I can't imagine how happy the congressman would be on
Oh,
cloud
yes.
nine and
Oh, yeah.
applauding this and saying,
He
good
would be
work.
jumping for joy. And,
Yeah.
again, this
And
is
dancing
and dancing. And dancing.
Yes.
He would not miss an opportunity to dance.
No, even in
the
the midst of a loss, and I'm wearing my Stacey Abrams t-shirt today, but during the first gubernatorial race, and as we were waiting for her to come out and make her speech, and he got up on stage and he just danced, and he got down on the ground with all the folks and the ladies dancing and pulling them and everything. It was just he just exuded joy.
Yes.
He just exuded joy, and for all of this to be turned around in the midst of such ugliness, he doesn't deserve this, and we should do whatever we can in order to make sure that the Nashville city, and I'm saying this, not Mr. Collins, I'm saying this, that we should do without burning anything down, Dora, to do whatever we can to make this right. And make sure that the Nashville City Council does not change the name and take away this honor that is given to not only to the congressman, but to the city of Nashville in order to, respect all that this wonderful man did.
Totally.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Will you come back again? I really enjoy talking to you, and whenever we can talk about Congressman John Lewis, I'm all about it.
So I would tell you, he was so excited. You mentioned it earlier, but he was so excited when we were in Dallas. He had a chance to come to the studio.
Yes,
we had a wonderful time in the studio. He really did enjoy that. You all showed him the studio. He was so fascinated with the setup. It was really a fun time.
The only thing I regret is that we didn't put him in front of the Tom Jordan microphone and take his picture, because I think that was, and I can't remember who was in the studio that day, but it was such a delight to have him and an honor. And that's the last picture I took with him, as a matter of fact, when he came to Dallas. And I think he was campaigning for Beto O'Rourke at the time.
Exactly.
I believe so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
So
and
much.
Please come back and also keep us up to date on how this is going.
Will do.
If you would.
Will do, certainly.
That is the wonderful Michael Collins, longtime right-hand man to the late Congressman John Lewis.
The late great.
The late great is right. Absolutely. All right, Damon, let's talk some trending news. This is Chicago news. Do you recognize the name Anjanette Young?
Not off the top of my head. I don't think I do.
Okay, it was on this day in 2019 that this Black social worker came home from work, was changing her clothes, and Chicago police broke into her apartment, raided her apartment, and would not allow her to put any clothes or any covering on her. Just had this Black woman stand in her apartment naked, cameras going, body cams and what have you. And it took her a long while to get justice. Well, today is the anniversary, the 4th anniversary of this. And she has made her endorsement for Chicago mayor. And guess who it does not include? That would be the current Black woman who is the mayor, the woman who is the current mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, and she chose one of her. I did not mean that. I did not mean that. She chose one of Lori Lightfoot's opponents.
This guy.
And the hymn would be Brandon Johnson, the Cook County Commissioner.
Yes.
She said that he is committed to making sure that the trauma that I endured never happens to another person.
Absolutely.
So she was forced to stand naked when an all-male team of police officers mistakenly raided her home. It was the wrong home. and endorsed Brandon Johnson. Her decision to choose one of the 8 candidates seeking to deny Lori Lightfoot a second term 4 years to the day after the botched raid changed her life is not a surprise. Now, she did get a nice settlement. It depends on your point of view, but almost $3 million from the city. Lightfoot and her city council allies blocked the so-called Anjanette Young Ordinance, which goes beyond the police raid reforms imposed by the mayor and the embattled police superintendent, David Brown. Her endorsement of Johnson is significant because it could remind progressive voters about Lightfoot's opposition to the reforms that they sought and the controversy surrounding Lightfoot's changing story about what she knew, when she knew it, about what happened on February 21st, 2019. And Ms. Hall said that Ms. Young says that she's had enough of the lies that have been told to me by our current mayor. It's time for me to hold her accountable. How do I hold her accountable? She must give up her seat. It's time for her to move out of City Hall, give someone else room to do the work that she has refused to do.
Yeah, and she kind of basically tricked some of the constituency with her platforms early prior to her getting elected. So like my son and their generation, they were all up in arms when she did get elected because she hasn't done anything in a progressive platform that she said she would have. Not to mention they love Brandon. In fact, I think they just interviewed him on my son's podcast, Ergo Radio.
I'd love to hear that.
So go on Ergo Radio and find the podcast of the interview with that, because he's been doing the work and he's definitely for police reform, social justice reform. He's a younger outsider who's just got into the politics and not caught up in the machine of Chicago politics, because we have some veteran politicians running in this race. And, you know, I've been joking about getting Willie Wilson in, but I really would prefer that they get Brandon in at this point. There's a couple of other young dynamic people running, but everybody is leaning toward Madam Lightfoot departing. Well, not everyone. I can't speak for the entire constituency, but a lot of people are not happy with the job she's done so far, especially when it comes to issues for us in our community. So, you know, we'll see what happens. It's Chicago. It's tricky.
And the machine still lives, because she wasn't even mayor then, but she was seemingly aligning herself with Rahm Emanuel and the superintendent.
She had a position that had something to do with the police reform oversight, is what I remember it being said. And she wasn't an advocate for the people. It was more for the system. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then on this story, we just talked about the gentleman who served all that time. He got $1 million or 1 point whatever. And that's why that really is a shame. He spent 20 years in jail and she spent 20 minutes naked. I'm not saying to downplay the fact that she was humiliated, but from compensation standpoint, bro got cheated.
Right.
But see, that's how corrupt.
I think she got cheated too, because if I had to stand naked for 20 minutes in front of a bunch of white cops, I would be humiliated, and I would want some more money.
Come on, Sybil. If it was $3 million in the briefcase, right here, let us show a little titty. You try to tell me that
so wrong.
That boob ain't gonna pop out if it was right there. Not a check. $3 million cash on the dresser. No.
And they couldn't trace it.
Right? No touching. 20 minutes.
Let's move on to Michael Irvin. It looks like things are turning around for him. He had a bad weekend, Super Bowl weekend, and now he is fighting
$3 million. The left one.
You are so.
You know how much eggs cost right now, Sybil? $3 million. No, okay.
I know how much
Michael Irvin
costs too. So
Michael Irvin. He was guilty before proven innocent because of his past. But let's hear what happened now.
So he has just scored a win in court. A judge has ordered that a hotel must now turn over any video it has of an interaction the Hall of Famer had with a woman that ultimately led to his removal from the NFL Network's Super Bowl coverage. His attorney requested the footage from the Phoenix Marriott in a motion filed, believing that it would help exonerate the NFL legend, who had been accused of wrongdoing while he was in Arizona to report on Super Bowl 57 for the league's TV station. Thursday, the judge granted the motion, saying clips must be sent to Irvin. And the judge also ordered the hotel must provide the name of Irvin's accuser, as well as anyone else who may have filed a complaint against the former football player. In the order, the judge ruled the hotel must reveal the names of the NFL employees who received the complaints. It was so weird and just so bizarre that and why would he lie? You know, just having a brief hello, how you doing kind of conversation, and then going to his hotel, and then somebody believing this and taking it to the NFL and saying, you know, we believe these women, you got to go. It just, where's the justice?
And it seems like it was really quick because it came out as soon as it happened.
Much. Yeah.
And they didn't just say he can't go on. They said, you got to go home. They sent him home.
Yeah. You got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. You got to go home, bro. And which probably worked out.
We're not going to let you explain nothing. Nope.
No. So, but you know, that's reputation sometimes, because he has some CD accusations prior to this that he was exonerated for the most part as well. But there's got to be a little fire there if there's a little bit of smoke. But if what he did was innocuous and, you know, inappropriate in a manner of just some verbal, you know, inappropriate.
It was just a brief little interaction in which the hotel employee called him over to introduce herself. Eyewitnesses described the interaction as jovial, completely harmless, and then he headed on to the elevator.
Yeah, I mean, it's some foul things you can say in 25 seconds, but not enough to get sent home from the Super Bowl. The nature and the climate right now is so sensitive. Even though men have to be respectful, we have to be appropriate. And excuse me for saying the T word on your show, but
I've been called worse than tart, so that's fine. That's
no, I'm just saying. But you know, let's let this play out. I hope the brother's innocent. I hope he's exonerated, and I hope, once again, if anybody falsely accuses someone, that they receive some type of penalty for their actions.
Yeah. Absolutely. So he has sued the Marriott and sued the accuser, indeed only as Jane Doe, for defamation, claiming he did nothing wrong. Neither Marriott nor NFL officials have publicly said what the allegations against Irvin actually are. It can't be, you know, you didn't give her an autograph. We're firing you. You got to go home.
Right. Yeah, but it also begs the question, what was he doing in the Marriott? Let me see.
There's some nice Marriott, especially if it's a JW.
But you know, he's a millionaire. You know, I travel with the Kings of Comedy. We never stopped at the Marriott. There were no Marriotts on the whole tour. So let's start. That's how you got in trouble. You was at the Marriott. No disrespect to the Marriott chain, but yeah.
Maybe that was it. Maybe he disrespected the chain. And I don't know.
Was he at a Courtyard Marriott? Was this, like, say, JW is one thing, but if he's at a Courtyard Marriott, then he deserves everything he got covered because he was looking for trouble. He probably went to the front desk and said, he probably went to the front desk and said, how much for 4 hours? Just want to run up here, you know, do a couple of lines. Got a couple of hookers and a couple of lines. Well, how much for 4 hours?
Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God.
Do y'all have nap rates? That's what he wanted to ask. Does that come with HBO?
Oh, only Tubi. Okay. All right. Cool.
Oh God.
There's a couple of movies my man Damon Williams said to see. So okay.
Actually, the director and writer of Can't Get Right has been asking me for months to if he can come on the show and talk about the film. So if we find a slot for it, let's do it. Yep. Your reaction says it all. Can't say I didn't ask, brother. It's right there.
What do I tell him that I heard about it?
You can't tell him what you heard about it.
Okay. Right. Let's move to entertainment, shall we?
Oh God.
Is it possible that a young woman from daytime television is finally playing the first Black teen heroine in Moon Girl? Her name is Diamond White, and she's an actress and a singer. She is on daytime. I think it's The Bold and the Beautiful, I want to say. But anyway, she says that the Disney show and its live action character launched during Black History Month are bringing forth a new character who is powerful, and not just because she can pull off some fancy tricks. Diamond White stars as Moon Girl, the first Black teen superheroine in the Disney Plus series Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Based on the Marvel comic book Moon Girl, the series fittingly premiered during Black History Month. And the 24-year-old said it's really cool, celebrating her character's real-life streaming debut. And you have to show representation to younger kids, and that's what they're doing here.
That's beautiful.
Really cool.
Thank God it's a positive character, and it's a beautiful thing, because a few years back, a girl named Diamond pulling fancy tricks would be a whole different show.
Okay.
Diamond and tricks don't even go together.
That doesn't. No.
With positivity.
No.
So yeah. No. Thank God. What's the name of the show?
It's Moon Girl.
Okay.
She is Moon Girl.
Yeah, that's what they would be saying to Diamond back in the 70s. Moon Girl. Let me see that.
Lafayette is arguably one of the most brilliant characters in the Marvel universe. Her superpower of pure intellect and the real-life power of STEM, she uses her smarts combined with determination and confidence to protect her beloved Lower East Side neighborhood from danger.
Wow.
Yeah. So she says she hopes the animated character will teach young Black girls they can have both beauty and brains. And speaking of which, there was one live action show of a young girl who is a superhero. Well, she has superpowers. And I think it was Ava DuVernay who created it. And it was on like the WB or CW or something like that. It was really good. And I saw it on a plane not too long ago. And unfortunately, it only lasted for one season. It did not get picked up for a second season, but really good. And it was just very interesting. I hope this does well.
Her superpower was to disappear. From an X trick. Poof.
Don't say trick, please. Whatever you do. Whatever you do.
Burt Campbell. You got to be old to know the Burt Campbell reference. If anybody don't know who Burt Campbell is, on soap, Burt Campbell he thought he could disappear.
Thank you for reminding us. I got to go back and watch my old soap.
You got to watch Soap, Billy Crystal's debut.
Oh my God, that was a brilliant
groundbreaking character too. The first openly gay man on a television series sitcom. Yep. That's right. Yeah. But Burt Campbell thought he could disappear. He was cuckoo.
He was crazy. He was nuts. A lot of craziness. It's time for our daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Be firm in your conviction. Be flexible with your approach to living. How's that?
Check that out. I like it.
I do
firm
too.
Yet flexible. Balance.
Look at you. Look at you. Yolanda. You see what he got there? Oh, that's awesome. Hey, we are going to the CIAA. We're headed to Baltimore. Take a look because you can come and join us.
Join us for action-packed games as the best men and women ballers take over Baltimore for the 2023 CIAA Basketball Championships this February 21st to the 25th. Experience it all on your schedule. Buy your general admission ticket for the game of your choice and join us to create new legacies. Bring your friends, family, sorors, and frat to experience tip-offs, dunks, and nail-biting buzzer beaters all tournament long. Single session tickets available at CIAAtournament.org. Don't miss out.
Don't miss out. We'll be there. We'll see you guys there. Tomorrow, Thursday? Yeah.
CIAA. What's that spell? Right.
Oh, David, so much fun today. Thank you, my darling. Safe travels to you.